So good afternoon, good morning and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the EV Café. I know what you're thinking, we all look rather silly today, and I'm not sure how long these baubles will last my beard. They're already pretty annoying. But sorry but not sorry, because we are celebrating the Christmas special, and so we are dressed to impress for the festive season. So we ask you, our lovely EV Café crowd, to join in with the fun and our silliness and snap a selfie or an Alfie, whatever you prefer, and post it onto our LinkedIn page. The top 3 will win an EV Café mug. But you must also like and share the page. Don't worry about doing it now, however, and missing the show, as the competition doesn't finish until 6 p.m. Oh, and I nearly forgot, we actually have another reason to celebrate today. You might have missed it last week, where we were highly commended at the 2020 Green Fleet Awards in the category of IT innovation. And I was commended as EV champion for the effort in the EV Café, for my effort in the EV Café and other stuff. However, I could not have done it without all of you. So a round of applause for the band of loyal and valued customers, because if it wasn't for you, then we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be on our 10th month, and we wouldn't be celebrating our Christmas special together. So the EV Café has gone from being a very small, skinny latte to a highly commendable double espresso with an extra espresso on the side. I don't know if this is distracting, but it's certainly distracting me, the jingling from my beard baubles.
We can't hear them. We can't hear them.
Can you hear them, yeah? We'll have to talk like this. And more importantly, we have all helped create a place where we can all come together to make a genuine difference. So our customers have networked, found like minds, done business together, and crucially put more electric vehicles on the streets. Not just in the UK either. We have customers from around the world finding common ground and sharing knowledge with heaps of banter and nonsense thrown in. But amongst all this silliness, we do address the serious concerns that it is climate change. As academic research suggests, time is simply running out. So we do this to help you make that transition now, and not until it's cheaper or the government say you have to. And if you need help, then please let us know via the email at hello@evcafe.org. We're all here for you, offering impartial and free advice. Roger, you had your hands up.
Yeah, I need help.
Yeah?
We know.
Yeah. And?
Why hasn't John Curtis dressed up?
So the EV Café is truly a community for life and not just for Christmas. We will always be here to promote those that are bettering the environment for us humans to live in, whether it's climate change or solutions that will prevent premature deaths from air quality. So, like us, grab your jingle jangle jumper and a large beverage of your choosing, because it's now time to look inside Santa's sack for today's episode. It gives us great pleasure to welcome back these special guests, and in order of appearance, first up we have the automotive commentator extraordinaire and president of the AA. It is Edmund King. Second, we have a guy who really doesn't need any introduction. He's out in the North Pole at the moment. He is the voice of all things EV. It's Mr. Roger Atkins. I think he's going to serenade us now. Lovely.
Wow.
Then we have someone who recently appeared on the Top Gear episode when discussing the National Grid, the one and only Graeme Cooper. And finally, is a man who turns the streets of Hackney green, maybe red and gold for Christmas, but it's Norman Harding. But that's not it. So we will also hear from our roving reporter of today, Mr. Dean Hedger, who is out in the field exploring the UK's first electric vehicle forecourt, and will then go head to head with our very own Mr. Clarke to see who can put the most of electrons into the Renault Zoe via pedal to vehicle spin bike at GRIDSERVE. Later on, we will also hear from the lovely Sara Sloman, who will be keeping tabs on who's been naughty and who's on the nice list, and she will also make some very interesting announcements for the future of the EV Café. But before we do anything else, we must go through the digital housekeeping for this session, especially for the newbies of the CAF. So the agenda, as I mentioned it, each of the special guests will be interviewed in about 5 minutes by one of us and ask the following questions. what was their highlight for 2020, their predictions for 2021, and of course their hopes for the future. Now, crucially, if you have any questions for our very special guests, then we will do our utmost to get them answered for you in the mailroom sections of the show, which are typically 10 minutes long and after every interview. So get those questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen as soon as you can. Feel free to use the chat box throughout the session to talk with us and the rest of the audience, but ignore it if it becomes too distracting. We always want to hear from you, so a quick hello and where you're from would be really appreciated. Finally, we would like to give some of you the gift of being live on today's session. So if it's to shout out to your company or sharing a positive Christmas news story, whether that's personal work or in relation to the EV Café, or just want to share your Christmas wishes with everyone, then please raise your virtual hand at approximately 1:30 this afternoon, and we'll give you the lucky five some airtime. So you've got some time to prepare for that. The last rule is just for the special guests and anyone joining the panel. If you want to speak, then please raise your hand on camera. This is just to avoid crossing over each other. And that's enough of me. That's enough of the housekeeping. So let's get on with the show. And to begin, we're going to, by introducing and talking to the sofa panelists, Santa's little helpers, the Avengers, the people that make the EV Café what it is today. So starting with myself, of course, which hopefully you know who I am by now, but just in case you don't, I'm the head barista of today. My name is Jonny Berry. I want to talk to anyone that's looking to transition their fleet to electric. I would love to help, even if it's just a friendly chat, but most importantly, I am playing Santa today. And who are my little helpers and what have they got to say in this time of the year? Well, you see them looking all rather lovely on the screen, but we'll start with the keeper of the sack, Mr. Curtis, the man behind the clever video at the beginning, or shall I say Auntie Joan?
Hello, boys and girls. Hello, darlings. Yes, it's JC here, or Auntie Joan now. Is it behind you or is it in front of you? This EV journey that you're undertaking. Be quiet in the cheap seats. Yes, I am a Go Ultra Low ambassador. I'm a motoring journalist, and I just love EVs and dressing up. And now I like drag as well. Weird.
Brilliant. Next up is, we have a very important lady. She's in charge of the chalk for the naughty and nice list, Mrs. Sara Sloman.
Hello everybody, nice to see you. Thank you for being active in the chat. Remember to send it to all attendees and panelists, otherwise we can't all hear what you're saying. So those of you who don't know, I'm Sara Sloman. I work for Foot & Stew, which is a law firm, and I work in the energy and infrastructure team. So it's very much my job to bring together collaboration from private and public sector and just see if we can narrow that gap to make collaboration more possible and more quickly, because you know that net zero target isn't going anywhere. But today it's super exciting to be sat next to a Christmas tree full of chocolates, and I have my own lights and my naughty and nice list. So this is the best Christmas party yet.
So Santa's little helper, aka Van Geek.
Well, hello everyone, and a very happy Christmas to you. This is the first time I've said that this year. So I'm very excited, as always, to be here sharing with you, talking about vans is my love, and seeing the world of vans transition from ICE and emissions, and you know the 16% of emissions in the inner cities that they are, or 16% of traffic, 30% of emissions, I'm sorry, that in the inner cities they are, and we can make a massive difference, one van at a time, and that's really great. And I also wanted just to mention at Christmas, because Christmas is a time for giving, and I think we often talk about mental health as well, and giving and mental health go hand in hand, believe it or not. So it is statistically proven that if you're giving, then it's also giving back to you mentally. So I want to encourage us to think about you know, the charities and the things that we do at this time of year. For me, often it's homelessness and you know, people struggling in those environments. So you know, I find it's a good thing to do to support homeless charities, and there's one in Bedford called Just Us Homelessness, so a big shout out to those guys. But there's charities all around the UK that could be supported. So and often they need vans as well, so it's very helpful. But that's me. Have a great Christmas special today, and we look forward to what's coming forward.
Thanks, Paul. So what do I do when my sleigh needs refueling? Where do I go? I go to the electric refuelling elf. We all know him as Sam Clarke.
Wow. I've been called some things in my time. That's a new one. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Sam Clarke. When I'm not beating Paul Kirby at debates, I am the Chief Vehicle Officer for GRIDSERVE. Sorry, had to do it at least once. Just once. I won't do it again. I won't say it again. I'll say my piece. But yeah, I'm not very festive apart from this jumper, and I am cooking in it, I might add, because I'm at the GRIDSERVE Electric forecourt, so not quite as festive as everybody else. But Dean is going to do a sterling job, I hope, of doing a bit of a walkabout later, and I'm looking forward to getting on our, as Jonny said, getting on our people to grid exercise bikes in a little while to see how many miles, or maybe parts of a mile that I can put into my car outside today. But we'll find that out later because they haven't been used before, so this will be the first time.
Excellent. And last but by no means least, he's represented himself as the Christmas chat box master today, and has also been here since the beginnings of the EV Café. It's Matthew Kiziak. Are you there, Matthew? Oh, has he disappeared? Yeah, he's not there. So
He's probably back in his hot tub.
So let's get on with the show, I guess. So it's time to welcome our first guest of today. It gives us great pleasure to welcome back EV King, Mr. Edmund King, who starts by being interviewed by Mr. John Curtis. So, and I know actually Sarah, haven't you got a Christmas carol? Or,
As you know, I was once a professional singer. So this is going to be beautiful, but on honour of all of our guests, we have worked together to make some wonderful intros. So, ready?
I'm looking forward to this.
The herald angels sing, glory to Edmund King OBE. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Somebody asked, where's the mute button? How rude.
You wait, there's more to come.
Well, Edmund, my dear chap, lovely to see you. Rumour has it that you've had rather a good 2020. Want to talk to us about it?
Well, yes. We have received quite a few awards this year, yeah. Probably about 4 awards. But actually, for me, 2020's been, pretty tough with COVID and everything else. And for me, the real highlight was getting a phone call on 24th of March at 7 o'clock in the morning from London Ambulance Service from the Chief Exec, Gareth Emerson, saying, Edmund, can you help us out? And the fact that within 24 hours we had AA patrols in the ambulance depots, getting ambulances running and getting that moving, that brought great pride to me. So that was a highlight of the year, and also at the AA helping NHS people when they broke down. We actually rescued 8,500 people totally free of charge, and our guys were brilliant. They were out there helping where they could. So those were highlights, but there's lots more on the horizon, I think.
All right, well, let's talk about your horizon then, because the AA is much more than just about a broken down vehicle at the side of the road, aren't you? You've developed new products, new services, you keep pushing back the boundaries. What are you up to for next year?
Well, I think one of the really exciting things, particularly, for the EV Café, is that obviously we need to embrace all things EV. We're all going EV. I've got my new EV with my green number plates on, which I'm incredibly excited about. So all our patrols are trained in EV, and Dean, who you'll hear from a bit later, is going out and he's helping companies with the charging infrastructure. He's helping with customer service. And what we're trying to do, we're just trying to make some of the messaging easier. I mean, it's okay for us guys, and you guys in particular, you're all the experts, but people out there, they're not really the experts. So we've got to get clear communication messages to everyone that EV is for us all, not just for EV King, not just for the EV Café, it's for all of us out there. So let's let's New Year's resolution, you know, let's make it easier. Let's cut out some of the tech. Let's embrace people. And I think that's going to be very exciting for all of us.
And that's one of those things which the AA does particularly well. If I say to you that when I started 2020, I was orange, and as I finished 2020, I am yellow, I've done that because I have seen your commitment to people. And it is the people business that you're in, isn't it? Everybody thinks it's cars, but actually it's about people.
Well, it is for us. What our patrols say when they go to any breakdown, it is we fix the individual and then the car. And that has always been their mantra. And what it is, you know, what does the individual need? Do they need to be in a safe place? Do they need to get to the airport? Do they need, the car is secondary. The car is a way of getting there. And, you know, I'm dressed like this because I'm actually doing some AA awards later. And some of the citations, quite seriously, from police forces, from the emergency services, of what our guys get into are incredibly moving. They are often the first people on scenes of crashes. They've stopped several suicides from motorway bridges this year. I think it was Paul talking about mental health. They're all trained how to react there.
Wow,
and
brilliant.
Some of those citations are just brilliant. So, yeah, I mean, the guys and the girls behind us out on the road are our true ambassadors for the future. And we want them to be our EV ambassadors alongside all of that.
Now, let's assume, Edmund, that for 1 second, you have one wish that you could have granted for 2021 for you personally. What would that be?
Well, for me personally, I don't know. My beloved Norwich City got relegated last year, and one of my highlights last year was going to the matches with my two sons every week. We're now top of the championship, so for me, and it's a personal wish, Norwich to get promoted and us to be allowed back into the grounds. And I'll be driving there in my EV, maybe stopping off at Braintree on the way at the GRIDSERVE thing to get that extra energy. And actually, GRIDSERVE, I must say something. I spoke to Toddington on Sky News with Ian King about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And it was the first time I'd met this guy. I loved his name, Toddington. It's even better than EV King. Great name. And I was just so impressed with this guy's vision. When he told me about what he was creating and solar panels and I kind of thought, that's a bit up here. That's a bit pie in the sky. And I've got to say, he has delivered 100%. So Sam, pass that on to him because he gave me the story a couple of years ago and he certainly delivered. So yeah, I'll be stopping off there, getting to Norwich City and having a bit of fun after this year that, you know, for all of us and some people much more than others, has been quite a tough year.
Edmund, you're an absolute legend. You've been installed into the Hall of Fame with PR Week, and you are genuinely a legend. You deserve every accolade that you get. You're a great friend of ours. I know you've been busy today, but you've made time for us, and we can't thank you enough. Do we have
Pleasure.
No, Edmund, you're a genuine gentleman, and thank you so much for your time. Jonny, have we got questions for Edmund?
We have in the chat box, but I just wanted to share the poll results for Edmund King's fake news.
That's my fake news.
So everyone thinks that your deep voice wasn't featured in a sex sequence on a song Blue Movies by Friction Grove.
It was, and I'll tell you what I had to say. I was sitting in the room talking. My brother produces some bands, and this producer, Brock Walsh, said, "Who's that guy there? He's got a great voice. Get him on the stage." And they were playing this song, Blue Movies, with a beautiful singer. And my line was, "Over here, darling. Is this what you want?" That is true.
Right. And then in second place is apparently you beat JK from Jamiroquai in a race at Silverstone Classic. Is that true, Edmund?
I was at the Silverstone Classic, and it was one of those occasions I really admired. I was standing there, and this guy, JK, runs up to me. You're Edmund King. You're the champion of motorists. You're on the TV. You do a great job. He said all of that, and that is true. But no, I didn't beat him in the race. That is the fake news.
So you have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. Big family, eh?
That is correct.
Right. Thank you very much, Edmund. So I think
Thanks
the importance of talking about fake news is to highlight the importance of media publishing fake news, or what we call FUD news stories, fear, uncertainty and doubt, especially when it comes to electric vehicles. So over to you, JC. Is there any questions that we have for Edmund whilst we've got him on, or any questions that the panel would like to ask? Sarah, you're up first.
I was just reading through the chat whilst you were talking, and actually you should know that someone said, great interview, so thank you so much for being here. But on top of that, there was another comment saying, when people break down, they need shelter whilst they wait for the rescue, right? And we've got Raymond Rogers here from Wrigloo, who do this. Yeah, that is worth a round of applause, seriously. And they do this amazing shelter which folds into sort of a rucksack size. You keep it in the boot of your car, and the ultimate partnership would be that when you become a member of you, then you would give those to any driver at all. So just wondered on your thoughts on that. What have the AA got planned to support drivers in the event of breakdown? Because you can't be there instantly. How can you help?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our priority is to get people as soon as they can and get them off the road, get them into a safe place. That is the priority. One thing I always say at this time of year, and I know it sounds cliched, but when you're going out in your car, the simplest thing, really, take a coat. You would be amazed the amount of breakdowns we go to this time of year, and someone's in a t-shirt and they're freezing. If you're on a smart motorway, you've got to get out of your car. You've got to get to a safe place. So, you know, the simplest thing that everyone can do is a heavy coat, a scarf, a fluorescent top, so that you can be seen. And our priority is to get you moved as soon as possible. Yeah, if you're in a really remote area, a Wrigloo tent may work, but on the M25, we'd rather just get you out of there, get you into a safe place.
Thank you. There's 2 more real questions. Over to you, John.
Sorry, John, just before we go to some questions,
Yes,
I've been sent a teaser video from the AA. So I think it's worth sharing. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's just a little bit about some exciting news that might come up next year that might help EVs to be recovered a little bit more quickly. Let's see what Ben and George might have to say about this. Okay. Ben and George, ex-Patrols of the Year.
Okay, I haven't seen this myself, but I'm going to share it. Let me know when you can see my screen.
We got it,
mate.
We're good.
Yeah. Can you hear it too? You hear it as well?
Yep,
What we're finding, 1 in 5 of our breakdowns are actually 4x4s and heavier vehicles, and with the zero emission targets we're trying to achieve in the UK, there's a big increase in electric vehicles on the road as well.
Alternative recovery of these vehicles can take up to 90 minutes. So let's see how much quicker and simpler it is when we're using the freewheeling hub. We've got 90 minutes to beat. Let's see how much time we can save. Are you ready, Ben?
I'm ready, George. Start the clock.
Really
Safer, swifter, smarter.
Safer, swifter, smarter. We like that.
So that's just it's a teaser of something coming next year that will help us get EVs and 4x4s and other things off the roads more quickly, and it is brilliant. So you've had the exclusive here on the EV Café, and you'll have more next year. So I'd just like to wish all you guys and girls, you have been brilliant, just loved it. I'm still up for doing the voiceovers for the EV Café, but I'll stick with you. Have a happy Christmas. And you've probably had enough of me. You've got lots more guests. So I'll switch my camera off,
Edmund,
but I'll be listening in.
I don't think you can go just quite yet. I think John in the mailroom has some questions for you.
Absolutely, I'm happy.
If you're happy to answer them, Edmund, that would be wonderful. Listen, we've got one question which I think is just put here to bait you. What are Edmund's views on smart motorways? You've got 10 seconds.
Yeah, well, We've won awards for our campaigns on smart motorways, but as you all know, we wanted twice as many emergency refuge areas. We wanted them at least every 3/4 of a mile. We had a concentrated campaign on that. We had a panorama program, and in the end, Grant Shapps has agreed to that. So let's get those extra emergency refuge areas in. Thank you.
Great work.
Yeah, quite right. Wonderful, wonderful work. And we'd be lost without you. Talking about being lost without you, somebody suggested, Ian Crowder has suggested that the AA might be able to provide a service as an aggregator for the various charging systems around the UK and pull together all of those systems under one banner to allow access to any old charger anywhere. Is that the sort of commercial activity that you look to undertake?
Yes, Ian is a brilliant ex-colleague of mine and very early adapter of EVs. And in fact, when I wanted advice for my EV, I contacted Ian, and he sent me reams of an email telling me all the different charging points and all the apps and cards and things I need. And I've got to say, when I looked at that, I thought, I don't understand the half of this. This is too difficult. So yes, within the AA, we have an EV committee. We look at all things EV. And if we can make the journey easier for all customers out there, we would love to. So yes, we're definitely working in that space. Ian, happy Christmas to you. Hope to see you soon.
Are we going to let the king off and let him go now to go and do his thing, JB?
Yeah, I'd like to see you back on a bit later on, Edmund.
Yeah. I'll still be on, and I will see you later, and I'll be listening in. So have a great show. Catch up soon.
Bless you, Edmund. Thank you.
Thanks, Edmund.
So it's time for the voice of EV. It's time to go live to the North Pole with Mr. Roger Atkins, interviewed by yours truly, Paul Kirby. We got a Christmas carol for
yours truly.
Yes. That was amazing.
Over to Sarah.
Oh, you lucky things. Ready? We wish you a Merry Christmas, a Roger Atkins Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and an EV outlook.
Woohoo!
Nothing like a Roger at Christmas.
No, absolutely. And this is nothing like a Roger at Christmas because he's not here. He's obviously got stuck in a snowdrift somewhere. Oh, he's back. Here we go.
Things have taken a turn for the worse since King Edmund was on. It's blowing a gale now and I'm having trouble standing up. So I'll try, hang on, I'll just try and go inside somewhere. Hang on a second.
Should we just cut him off if he's having trouble?
See a thing with this
But you're breaking up.
Hey?
The weather's so bad, we'll just
Bear
cut you off,
with me,
Roger.
it's all going tits up. Hang on. Hang on. Right, I'm inside
Apologies
now.
to our younger listeners.
Bloody hell. Jeez, I tell you, man, that was awful. Sorry about that.
Gosh, is it
Roger,
that bad?
that's fine. We're so happy to have you indoors and now audible. That's
Thank you.
Great news. So Roger, you know the questions, and I've got a couple of highlights of your year in my mind. But tell me, what has been a highlight of 2020 from your perspective? You've seen some amazing stuff, but what has been the number one?
It's easy. I'm going to do a voiceover first, and then I'm going to play a bit of video.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I know what this is.
So this was me during a webinar last week. I decided to take all the speakers who were watching downstairs and let them come down and have a little look about what was going on out in the what's it called again? Sam's mentioned it. That's right. Yes. The electric
I'm glad it was so memorable.
Yeah. So I that was supposed to show a bit more of the video actually. Oh, here we go. There's a bit more there. Yeah. That was me walking down the stairs and then showing them around the place because yeah, it's just unbelievable. I think this bit is where we go. Oh, that was after we'd gone upstairs. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, that's my favorite highlight, going to the electric forecourt. I'm not just saying it because he's there, that bloke there. And I thought, look, I've been on LinkedIn for too long in many ways. Some people would say I should get off it. But Sarah's post with that wonderful 360 spin around and a joyous exclamation, for me, is just one of the best posts I've ever seen on LinkedIn, because sometimes less is more. You know,
Yeah.
I bang on about stuff and, you know, talk about this and that and the other. Sometimes just be emotional and show something, and it's just a wonderful post. That's my favorite post on LinkedIn this year, I have to tell you.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
great.
That's what I want for Christmas. Thank you ever so much.
There you go.
Oh,
We'll cut you a clip out, Sarah, of the recording.
You're on the nice
Going on
list.
the nice list. So, Roger, if you don't mind me asking you about two of my highlights for you, because I know you got to spend some time with the people at Arrival, but in particular, the Charge Mustang, and
Yes.
you got a tour of that vehicle. Tell me what your thoughts were about that.
Fantastic. And, you know, there's a lot more about that than meets the eye, if you like. Yes, it's a glamorous, very expensive, very exclusive electric car. Not a conversion as such. They're just using the 1967 body kit that they get over from the States and then turning it into an all singing and dancing super duper electric vehicle. But what that gives them is the capability to learn all sorts of stuff, which cross-pollinates into Arrival, and the same thing across into Robo Race.
Yeah.
And what it essentially does is allows a company who I think are incredibly interesting to do this, get their ducks in a row around understanding all sorts of things to do with electrification, which they can share and put out into the market for other people. And when we get to 2030 or whatever year we get to where we aren't selling combustion engine vehicles anymore, there are still going to be 1 billion of them on the planet. So potentially, theoretically, a way of converting cars, not maybe all of them, but a good number of them, into electric vehicles. You know, there are specialists already doing that. But if we can do that at scale and economically and in all sorts of other fashions, that could be a very important and significant part of the journey to you know, electric vehicles and the like.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about, you know, the approach of Arrival, particularly because that's going into a wonderful van that will hopefully hit the road early next year. So that, of course, excites me. And I know,
yeah,
Roger, you have a place close in your heart for vans. But so what is your expectation for 2021? What are you expecting to see rather than just hoping?
I'm expecting to see a lot of innovation. You know, we're at a point where, and that wasn't me, by the way, I went earlier. A lot of innovation and delivery of stuff. You know, there's lots always to hear and talk about. You go on these, you know, webinars and various things that go on, and people talk about what they're going to do. The thing, for example, about electric forecourt, not getting paid to say any of this, by the way, is someone doing something. It's not a strategy. It's not a grand ambition. It's not a plan. It's a physical site. It's a building. It's all of that stuff. So what am I looking forward to? Wireless charging of electric taxis in Oslo next January. We'll have 25 electric Jaguar I-Paces that will charge wirelessly, around 60 kilowatt charge, and they'll have opportunity charge as they wait in rank for people at the train station and other locations, so that the drivers then, in effect, are charging up in situ to their work. They don't have to go and cart off round the back somewhere or whatever. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the other one, I'm looking to flying in an electric aircraft.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, my friend Val Miftakov at Zero Avia has developed electric aircraft proposition, actually not using batteries. I know it seems mad, and I know for some people, you know, they're going to switch off now when I mention hydrogen fuel cells.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know, but, you know, it works. So I'm going to go for a flight in an electric aircraft next year. So those are my two really, you know, looking forward to moments for
yeah. And if you could have a wish of something that's on the horizon but perhaps not quite here yet, and I know that you're able to see into the future more than most with EV Outlook, exactly. What would you wish to see in 2021?
Oh, that's a great question. Again, not because you're talking to me about this, lots more electric buses, taxis, and vans. You know,
Yeah.
when I started at Modec, or, you know, quite a long time ago now, 2007, the wonderful people there, headed up by Jamie Borick, you know, his money that he spent and lost, basically, you know, a lot of money, was all about electrifying the things that pollute the most. You don't need to be told about all this, Paul. You're a big advocate of it yourself. But, you know, getting as many electric buses, taxis and vans on the road it is the significant and quicker way of getting certainly air quality down considerably in our towns and cities. So I really hope to see a lot of that. In fact, I really believe we've talked about this before, at the tipping point of commercial vehicle fleets because of one significant and particular aspect. You know, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. So, you know, it's like, what do they call that? What's that called? A no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer. If you run a commercial fleet or something, and maybe not everywhere for everyone, but a lot of people, turns out to be cheaper. What the heck? Of course you're going to do it. Oh, the other thing I am looking forward to is a little prick in my arm somewhere, you know, obviously for the vaccine at some point, because I'm in the category where I'll probably get it in February or March. So, yeah, I mean, no, it's 2 little pricks, isn't it? I get one and then whatever.
Me and Paul.
What was that, John?
Me and Paul.
The rest of us will have to wait a while.
Hang on a second, the door's just blown open again. Hang on. I'm talking to people. It's online. Sorry about that.
There we go. So Roger, that's been fantastic to get your insight, and you know, I'm with you. I'm excited about the opportunity for vans. I know it will grow next year. We were hoping this year would be a great move forward, but next year definitely we expect to see it triple. But why don't you finish with a song, Roger?
Oh, can I just play a bit of my guitar? Would that be all right?
That'd be amazing. Woo! We'd love that.
Thank you. And
so I'm gonna hand over to the dame that must be obeyed, and JC in the mailroom. Have we got anything for the wonderful Mr. Atkins from the wonderful people out there?
Yes, let's go with John Rush. John Rush is saying, do you think wireless charging will come to the UK in things like car parks? What do you reckon, Rog?
So that's definitely what's going to happen. Yes, I do. Yes, I'm very confident that we'll probably see it first, I think, in buses. It's an ideal fit for buses. You know, wireless charging is not a panacea, but for electric buses, you can extend the range because you've got, you know, defined stop times, stop positions, etc. So the answer to the question, yes, electric buses.
Brilliant. Good. We love electric buses. Where do you think they're going to take off? Is it London, big cities? Is that really where it's all going to happen?
Yeah, you know, it's like a lot of things. You've got to, you know, look at the right application. So high utilization vehicles in places where it's a little bit tricky. And the beauty of wireless for certainly commercial fleets is you're charging in situ to your operation. You know, you're not having to go somewhere separate, detach, you know, the duty cycle of work. You're actually doing it while you're doing your work. And that saves time. It's not so much the convenience either. It potentially then becomes like a range extender. You know, you can take a 160-mile range bus and potentially turn it into a 260-mile range bus by virtue of the charging infrastructure, rather than having ever bigger batteries, which, you know, is maybe not always a good thing.
Now, Ian Crowder's asked a question which is really interesting. I've got some insight into this myself, and it's around, are we going to see wireless charging on the move? Trials in Scandinavia are happening at the moment. I've certainly seen Volvo trialing stuff. What about you?
Did you say wireless charging on the moon?
On the move.
Oh, on the move. Sorry. I thought, what?
I think on the moon would be cheaper.
Right. just because I like you doesn't mean I can't say nasty things about you. Wireless charging on the move, I think, is a considerable challenge. And again, straight answer to that question: no. People have shown it, but it's incredibly challenging. The laws of physics are just, wholly against you. And getting, static wireless charging to be delivered at the right cost and all the right thing, that's a challenge in itself, which is being delivered. But as for, what they call dynamic charging, I'm happy to see it happen. It'd be great, but I don't think so. Not anytime soon.
All right, mate. Well, I think we've got time for another question. JB, are we okay?
Yeah, one more question, and then we'll go to Dean Hedger.
Right.
So,
one of our Ians has asked a question. Do you think that battery swap will ever gain traction outside of China? And we've seen it in Israel come and go. What do you think, Rog?
Well, I tell you, I want to tell you something that I shouldn't really tell you. So, okay, so it's a Bidnam exclusive. So get ready for this. What's actually going to happen very soon is.
Good. I like what he's done there.
And that's going to happen in about May or June. So
Right.
there you are.
Very good.
You're a genius.
And really, on that bombshell, back to the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, Roger.
Brilliant to have you on, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Roger.
Legend.
I don't believe he'll be coming back just because he's got another show to attend. So it's now time to go live to Dean Hedger, our roving reporter, who is at the first ever. Why is everyone laughing? At the first ever.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me, Johnny? Can you hear me, Johnny?
Yes.
Are we live? Are we
Yes,
live?
mate.
Let me just connect the satellite connection. 1 second. 1 second. There we go. Are we good?
Yes.
Good. Hello, people.
Over to
Got to
you,
get the
Dean.
angles right. Listen, I'm a novice with a selfie stick. I'm nothing like that Paul Kirby. He's the absolute master with this stuff. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes,
We
buddy.
can perfectly.
Do you know what? Fantastic to be out and about. What a fantastic place I'm at. You all know where I'm at, but I'm going to tease you for a little bit longer before we have a look around at the fabulous GRIDSERVE forecourt. First business trip for me since March. Can you believe that?
Wow.
And I know you're all used to seeing me sat in that room, which many of you call my little own branch of CEX. Well, Christmas jumpers on today as well, keeping on brand with the video gaming theme. So if anyone, we all recognise the logo, I'm sure, so you can fire in your suggestions into the chat. So, firstly, can I just say something serious? Wanted to congratulate all the crew at the EV Café, Jonny in particular, for this being his brainchild. Oh, look, teasing in a logo there. Look at that, I'm getting good with this stick. Really great recognition that you received at the Green Fleet Awards. Really, really well done. And also, a big thanks from myself and everybody at the AA for letting us get involved in the EV Café, right back from the start of lockdown. So like I said, Jonny, everyone I've been at home. So it's absolutely fabulous to be out and about, live on the cafe and the GRIDSERVE. So, like I said, this goes right back from the start of lockdown. So you might recall that in the beginning, there was a vision that I talked about on an early EV Café. And it was the AA's aspiration to support the infrastructure growth. And Edmund has alluded to it earlier as well. So, of all the visions we had at that time, obviously it wasn't the glare of John Curtis's head. It wasn't the rays of sunshine that follow Sara Sloman everywhere, but it was very much more yellow than that, with our brand obviously coming on, looking at the EV infrastructure, seeing how our vision could then help that network grow. A lot of the organisations are obviously startup organisations with low levels of resource and staffing, and we're able to help by adjusting what the business does in slightly different ways, changing the business model slightly to support really what is the biggest change in the automotive industry for 100 years. So from that acorn, I'm going to have a little wander now as we start to plod around. So from that little acorn, we've gone live with no less than 4 customers for the charge point call service. We're obviously reviewing our options around providing a field-based service, but there's more governance that we have to put around that to make that safe for everybody to get involved with. You know, the service that we're offering already is more than a start, stop and a reset service. In many cases, we're doing lots of different kind of triage roles that are typical kind of work for a call center. So total coverage at the moment is around 2,500 charge posts. We've got about 40 staff trained up to provide the service. Calls are taking about 6 minutes on average. And what we're trying to do is help the CPOs, you know, they worry about keeping their network up and operational, and then we'll look after the customers if they have any problems or any other reasons that we may be needed to get involved with, which obviously brings me very nicely to GRIDSERVE. So, you got run over then. You can't hear these EVs coming. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. Sneaky i3 behind me. I genuinely didn't hear that coming. Anyway, so let's have a look around.
Maybe don't stand in the road, Dean. Just, you know.
Let's have a look around and try not to kill myself. It's a fantastic looking site. There's a van over there that actually looks like it's been parked like it's been stolen. So I think we can probably blame Paul Kirby for that one. But anyway, behind me now, you can probably see something that we've all seen many times before, which is the Tesla Superchargers. So there's a bank of those here, which are fantastic, obviously, for the Teslas to use. I'm walking along now, so this is tricky now because I don't want to go backwards, given the experience I've just had, like almost getting run over. So I'll do it very slowly. So as you first arrive on site, it's a one-way system. You drive around the back of the building, and you're met with these ABB chargers, which are the relatively slow chargers, up to 22 kilowatt. Obviously, if your car can take it, and you can see there is an array of vehicles plugged in today on this lot. Opposite here is a picnic area as well. And there's also air and water for you to fill up, like you would get at a regular service station. But flipping around now, you can see the canopy above me. You can see you can get the scale. It really is an absolutely fantastic site. So there's the shops, etc., and then you've got everything here. So what have we got? So we've got some yellow bays, and in the yellow bays is the kilowatt chargers up to 90. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those in the central areas, which I'll walk across now. So look left, look right. We all know. Sadly lost Dave Prowse this year, didn't we? But
yeah,
his road crossing legacy lives on. So walking into the more central area, you've got a lot of you've got green marked bays. You can see they're on the floor. So this is where you've got the up to 350 kilowatt chargers. So it's been quite busy today. There's quite a lot of vehicles milling around, and I think at the moment probably the only vehicle that could be charged up here is the Porsche Taycan. But they're all in that central area, and then on the other side is more of the 90 kilowatt. So it's 36 chargers in all, charging currently at a rate of 24 pence per kilowatt hour. So competitive to what you would see on a lot of the networks. A great offering, unquestionably. So I'm going to have a look for Sam now. So I think you're still sat on base camp. So if Sam wants to come and
yeah, I came downstairs
outdoors.
And realised I hadn't put my mask on, which was
well, we thought we'd do this outside because obviously we don't have to wear the mask when we're chatting. We're going to jump on the bikes later, and we won't be wearing masks while we're on the bikes, but we will have to obviously when we're inside the building. So there we go. Look at that. It's getting really good.
Will you be wearing your Christmas jumper on the bike?
No. we are not cycling for 45 minutes in Christmas jumpers. We've had that discussion. Hey Sam, you're right. Let's get you in as well. So it is, isn't it? Look, there's you. Quick few questions for Sam while we're outside today. First one, obviously AA, absolutely thrilled to be supporting you guys now. We obviously went live with everything last week. Had a few calls already. Can I just say, most common call, where is GRIDSERVE, is the most common one, because Google being what it is pretty slow to catch up on the postcodes. So I know that's something you guys are on with, but that's something that, again, we won't get that call more than once. But what I was going to ask you, Sam, was Chief Vehicle Officer. I love that. I love that title. You almost ought to be wearing a Tron suit, I think, for something like that. But what does that mean? What does that mean? What do you do?
Yeah, well, that name was invented for me, which was nice. I just picked out my ear because I can hear myself.
I've had some other names invented for me. I think some of them might be in the chat now.
Yeah, the guys from the EV crew have called me a few things, but yeah, well, my role in GRIDSERVE is a broad one, I suppose. I'm jack of all trades, master of none, a little bit, but mainly vehicle related. So anything to do with our vehicle solutions piece. So we're leasing vehicles now, as well as supplying all of this infrastructure. As you may have seen on just a few bits of news this week, we have been around and launched. But the reality of this place is we're not going to make money back on investment on charging alone, especially not at 24 kilowatt, which is cheaper than everyone. But we need to lease vehicles. We need to sell the energy back to the grid. We need to keep the efficiency of the solar farm we bought to 44 miles down the road. There's a number of different revenue stacks that make this place work. Not to mention, you haven't seen it inside, guys, but we've got WH Smith and Costa and Boots and Gourmet. And
can we do anything with the window there? A bit reflective.
There's an entire retail outlet downstairs as well. So this is the sort of place that once you've done all your amenities, your car's charged and ready to go.
There's some games upstairs for little kids to play, which I didn't do this morning. Honestly, I've been working all morning.
And there's some games to play for big guys on bikes.
Big guys on bikes that allegedly is going to be happening. We're going to actually put some power back in the grid, and we'll see how much we can do with that. This is exciting. What's next for GRIDSERVE?
That's next. Well, more of the same, really. So, we're going to build over 100 of these around the country.
Yeah.
And it needs to be a network like that to make it work.
Yep.
We're going to build more hubs as well. So we're going to have more smaller sites on top of the 100 electric forecourts. We'd love to put these everywhere, but we can't. So more of the same, really, because we need a proper network, one that works, one that's reliable, one that's got, as you've already described, many chargers at one location, which means you've got reliability. You've got dependency on the fact that you will be able to charge when you get here.
Yeah.
And again, a nod to Paul and his commercial vehicles. We've got much space for that too. So buses, lorries, even potentially with Mr. Atkins, some induction charging as well. Who knows? It's all possible here.
It's just the beginning, isn't it?
It is just.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah, it is, and it's really exciting.
Well, listen, I think we're out of time now. Probably we're going to get back, but I wanted to say, thanks again for appointing us to support you and your customers. That's great, and I'm really glad there's a Costa here, because I'm going to go and get warmer now and have a nice coffee. So we'll see you on the bikes.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much.
There was a question in the chat around, is it on ZapMap? And yes, it is. Well, I've just checked, and also Ian Muller has checked. So Braintree electric forecourt is on the on ZapMap as Braintree electric forecourt, funnily enough.
It's on Google Maps, but it's almost like you search for it once, you find it. You search for it again, it's trying to send you somewhere in Cal, in Wiltshire. It's very, very, very bizarre. But anyway, listen, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Dean.
Catch you all soon.
Studio.
Good word, Dean.
Thanks,
so good luck to both of you on the spin bikes. We shall check back in shortly for some questions from the audience, and also to see who wins, who puts the most amount of electrons back into the EV. So in the meantime, back in the studio, John, do we have any questions for Roger? Do we have any questions for the panel?
Can I just say something in that the head of Electrify America, Giovanni Palazzo, spotted what was done last week when the press launch for electric forecourt, and was very, very impressed. I had a little chat with him, and he thinks it's amazing. So they built in 30 months 500 charging stations, admittedly with $2 billion worth of money that came out of the VW Dieselgate thing. But yeah, he thought it was fantastic. He loved seeing it and commented accordingly. So there you go. Fame has spread far and wide.
Brilliant. So I guess it's now time for our next guest. He doesn't just paint the town red, but also green. It's the Fleet EV champion of 2019 and in charge of Hackney Borough Council's fleet. It's Norman Harding. Hello. Oh, it's Father Christmas. Where's Norman gone?
Yeah. So we've got a little carol introduction for Norman.
Brilliant.
And I apologise in advance because you've got me singing it. So here we go. The Holly and Hackney Council, Norman Harding knows where all the EV charging is, and he surely wears the crown.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh my God, it's really hot in this beard, I tell you.
Now then, Paul, are the rumours true that you used to be a professional singer too?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then I had the operation, and they took my voice.
Anyway, enough of this madness. Norman, my dear friend, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, guys. I'm very well.
How have you coped with 2020? Because working in the public sector has been incredibly important to us. How's 2020 been for you?
Yeah, I have to admit, it's been a pretty miserable year all round. But from the council's point of view, you know, got to take my hats off to the frontline services. Every service is delivered as normal in very difficult circumstances. To my knowledge, we never furloughed any employees at all. We managed to find new roles for people where some of the services did dry up a little bit. Certainly some of our building maintenance teams where residents didn't want plumbers and electricians, etc., coming into their house, for example. We managed to redeploy those guys in the short term to deliver food parcels to local community residents that needed them. So yeah, it's been tough, but really, really good. And yeah, some of the other frontline services just never stop. Our waste services constantly picking up bins, cleaning the streets in difficult circumstances. Children being delivered to school, adult social care still delivering and moving disabled passengers to day centres, etc. All still carrying on as normal.
So that's put an awful lot more pressure on your fleet and how you operate. Have you had any difficulties with having electric vehicles in your fleet as a result of that change in journey cycles?
To be honest, not as a result of the COVID lockdown, I shouldn't say. Generally speaking, we've got a really well-run fleet, and most of the employees engaged with fleet transport are totally committed. You know, they'll turn up, rain or shine, whatever's going on. And from the electric vehicle point of view, got to take my hats off to the vehicle manufacturers. The products themselves are actually brilliant. You know, they're very reliable. They do what they say on the tin. They have got limitations, of course, but as long as you as a fleet manager, you place an electric vehicle in a service that you know it can cope, then they performed admirably. They really had. My difficulty has been with my depot-based charging infrastructure. That's been really, really difficult for me.
And what sort of difficulties do you face, Norman? Talk to us about it.
Well, primarily reliability of my charging infrastructure. It's from day one, it's been pretty unreliable. That was mostly associated with the RFID access card system. Drivers not being able to unlock the charging post to plug in a vehicle, and when they did, sometimes the signal would be lost during charging, and so the vehicle wouldn't charge. Sometimes drivers would turn up after a few hours and couldn't unlock their vehicle and find their vehicles tethered to the charging post. At the moment, I've got 47 charging plug points around 13 sites, and at this very moment in time, 12 of those don't work. That's more than 25%.
Goodness gracious.
I've got 4 charging plug points which have never worked since they were installed, and I've got 4 charging posts which haven't worked since probably mid-August. I've got 1 charging post where I've reported the defect on the 27th of October, and I got the quotation for a repair as I believe it to be user damage. And to some extent, I'm not going to argue with that. I just want the post fixed. I got the quotation through only yesterday, even though we reported the fault on the 27th of October. These are the sort of things I'm having to put up with.
Yeah, no, and that's unacceptable. We've got somebody in the chat box there just saying, can you name and shame? And I don't think we're about that. What we're about is saying there are still some issues out there. There are still businesses that are not as good as others. And it's really important to network with people like you, Norman, so that we can have those conversations, we can be steered and guided in the right way, isn't it? And if anybody needs you, they can find you on LinkedIn and come and pat your lovely tummy.
Yeah. Anyone's willing to want to come tap and rub this, that's fine. But I haven't got a product to sell. I'm not trying to sell anything apart from a good idea. And I do believe the electric vehicle technology industry is the way to go for urban environments. And so when people come and see me for my advice, I'm not trying to sell them something. I'm going to just tell them how it's been for me. Some bits have been really, really good. Some bits have been really, really bad. And if they can learn from that experience and perhaps write into contracts to improve the service contract, turnaround time, the reliability factors, put some onus on the suppliers, more onus on the suppliers, I should say, rather than take it for granted, then great. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, and I guess if you had a wish for Christmas going forward and for the new year in 2021, would it be reliable charging infrastructure?
Yeah. Obviously, from my personal point of view, that would help me no end. Because one of the things that I spent years doing is trying to overcome mindsets for the drivers in some of the electric vehicles. And bearing in mind, I've been running electric vehicles since 1999 with Hackney Council. Although, to be honest, I should say Hackney Council have run electric vehicles since 1999. I joined them in 2007, and I made a concerted effort at that point to try and get drivers accustomed to alternative fuels. We've done an awful lot with recycled cooking oil on our heavy goods vehicles and with our light commercial vehicles. But in the early days, particularly with some of the early products, which were a bit rough around the edges, I'll have to admit, drivers were always complaining. They didn't want to use this, and if you force a vehicle upon a driver, it's only a matter of time before they find a way not to use it. But I've got to the point now where my drivers, they really love their electric vehicles. And one of my drivers, he retired recently, and he said that he was actually going to buy himself an electric car with his retirement bonus, and that really sort of filled me with joy. I thought that was great. But certainly, unless the charging infrastructure industry picks its socks up, I think it's got the potential to actually lose the whole momentum the electric vehicle market has got at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, you're a real champion for better electric vehicles, better charging infrastructure, Norman. You've done some incredible things, and your outfit is second to none. So thank you for your time today. I think, Jonny, we're going over to the poll results, aren't we?
Yeah, so fake news. Sorry, Paul, you've got your hands up. You go first.
Well, I just wanted to, there was a question in the chat box which I just thought was really really a good and appropriate one. It was in the general chat box, but that said, Norman, have you implemented home charging for the staff that have got electric vehicles? Do they take them home? And if so, how do you administer it?
Yeah. In fact, the home charging side of things is actually working very well. I was very careful to choose a different supplier actually to install those. And generally speaking, they've been pretty reliable. And when they have failed, they've responded very, very quickly to make repairs. And what's happened is we got our drivers that took the vans home. We had to do a site survey to make sure they had appropriate driveways for off-street parking and could park close to a wall-mounted charge point, or even some in their garage or whatever. So we did that. That all worked fine. We got the drivers concerned to provide us a tariff of their electric bills. And through the electric charging infrastructure supplier, they provide us a website where we can log on at any moment in time to monitor the electricity use through that particular vehicle. It's the vehicle's ID, and then what we do is we at the moment, because it's only a handful of drivers, we do a manual calculation and we reimburse them in the same way that we might reimburse someone who's had to travel on a train to Birmingham or something like that.
Great. It was great to see that you're doing it and have overcome, that sort of paying for the energy thing. But it's interesting to see where that will go, especially with the lack of off-street parking, probably in your area in particular. But anyway, that's another question for another day. Back to JB.
Thank you, Paul. So interestingly, 46% of the audience believe you getting locked in a coffin and driven to a cemetery is fake news. That's got to be fake news, isn't it, Norman?
No, actually, that's true. When I was an apprentice, I left school and I took an apprenticeship as a truck mechanic working for the co-op, which is where I first cut my teeth on electric vehicles back in 1977. But we also had a funeral service at the time. In fact, the co-op still has a funeral service.
Yeah.
And so when the limousines and the hearse used to come into the workshop for service and maintenance, that was all part and parcel of the job. And of course, one came in with an empty coffin, and of course, back in the 70s, I mean, we used to get on with murder in terms of the larking about we would do on the shop floor. And I got in and I sort of happened to say to my mates, "No, this is a perfect fit." And of course, they whacked the lid on. They whacked the lid on and locked it down and took me down to the local cemetery.
So what is fake news then, Norman?
Well, actually, of those ones you've put up,
yeah,
they're all true.
Right, okay.
Hang on, I need to look at them again.
We're supposed to have one that's fake though, Norman, but maybe I've missed that one.
Yeah. The one that's fake, you've not put up.
Okay. Well, what was the fake one that I didn't put up?
Okay, sorry. It's I was snorkeling in Australia, and I'd gone out a bit further than I actually anticipated, and a fish swam past my mast, and of course I didn't realise at the time. I sort of looked up and I couldn't see anything. I looked back behind me, realised how far I'd swum out, and also I was starting to get a bit panicky. And when I put my face back in the water again, this fish, which was honestly, it was bigger than me. It absolutely scared the living daylights out of me. And because at first you can't help thinking it was a shark, and that's what I thought. I'd actually put in as a fake one that I'd had a run in with a shark. It was just a big fish.
So tune in next session with Norman for a story time.
The Spanish bull run with the bullshit, that's quite funny.
Another time. Sam, you have your hands up.
I did, because I was going to say, now as I put my mask on, hopefully you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Dean and I are now going to do something that's probably never been done on a webinar before.
Ooh,
so let me just spin the vid.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there he is.
I'm trying to press a button. All right, can you guys see that now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't get a chance to show you upstairs the forecourt. So I'm just going to quickly go around. This is our kids area. You can see the canopy over there. I'll go past our meeting pods. I'm taking the long way around here, past some vehicles on display, past some more meeting pods. There we go. And then in this corner, as been mentioned before, we've got some exercise bikes that are connected to the grid. So Dean and I are going to spend the rest of the session on these things. Now, 74% of all the energy that we generate goes back into the local network, which is quite cool. And I don't think that my Tesla outside is quite going to be topped up with energy by Dean and I charging. But what we will be able to find out is how much energy we can actually generate for the rest of the show. So where is he? Where are you, Dean? There you are. He's getting himself ready. That's one bike, socially distanced, I might add. So we will take the masks off for this. And there's my steed, trusty steed, for the rest of this episode. So carry on, guys, but we're going to start pedaling now, and I'll let you know whenever you want to know how much energy we've created.
Dean's looking very fit from his 3,000 press-ups, making Sam look a bit skinny.
So we'll go back to John in the mailroom, but Sam and Dean, don't get yourself too out of breath because you've got some questions in the chat box.
Oh yeah.
He's got a head start on me now.
I've already started.
He's already started. I had to adjust the seat.
There's nothing worse than having to adjust your seat, I always say.
Here we go. Here we go.
In public.
Right.
Right. Good lads.
Catch you in a bit.
All right, mate. So, Sam, can you still parlay?
Yeah.
Good man. Right, I'm trying to give Dean the edge here by asking you a question. Lots of requests for a GRIDSERVE forecourts in Surrey and Scotland and all over the shop. What's the rollout plan?
So the rollout plan is, this is more challenging than I thought it would be, cycling and talking at the same time. The rollout plan is over 100 sites around the UK. We have plans for 7 next year.
Right.
I can only tell you 2 of them publicly, which is Uckfield and Norwich. But the 100 sites we're going to roll out are over the next 5 years. So 7 next year, and then we're going to crank it up after that.
Wow.
But it has to be done. And,
so
and
Edmund King is going to be very, very happy then if you get one in Norwich.
He is. I nearly mentioned that earlier, but I didn't want to. I don't feel right interrupting Edmund King. It's too silky. Can't do
it. Norwich charging back to the Premiership. Ba-boom. Right. Okay. So Sam is. See, this really is giving Dean a real advantage here. Lots of questions for Sam. Is the off-site utility scale solar necessary to make the nanogrid forecourt feasible? From Matt Wells. What do you think?
I think that I've only just realised that I haven't turned my exercise bike on.
Whoa! Go, Dean, go, go.
Everything I've done so far hasn't registered. That's what I think. Right, what was the question?
It's around mass solar, and is it necessary to make the nanogrid work?
Yes, it is, and not just solar, but wind and lots of other renewable energy. And certainly for this business, we've got a 60-acre site 44 miles down the road, which is creating all the energy for this site. Oh, well, actually, not all of the energy, because right now I'm making some of it. It's probably doing a bit more than me, but yeah.
Grid connections, are they an issue for you, or do you just, because you create your own energy, you just use it all on site?
I can't tell if Sarah's just laughing at me or not.
I am so much, yeah.
I told you this was a stupid idea.
Can't see Dean though. Where's Dean gone?
He's there. He's just doing it.
He's got his head down and he's about 3 million kilowatts ahead of Sam.
Brilliant.
Yeah, 2 watt hours so far, apparently. Oh God, this is so distracting. Grid connections. Grid connections are really, really important. Yes, so all these sites, you know, it's not just about the location of where they're at, but it's about the connection of the grid and how much power you can store on site and connect and then trade with the grid. So yeah, grid connection is incredibly important, and it's a major, major aspect of all our location choices.
And in terms of location choices, Sam, I'm really not enjoying having to ask you all these questions, really. Does the access to electricity dictate where you put your sites? So is that one of the critical factors for you?
It's one of the major factors, yeah. Both a decent grid connection, but also the ability to store energy. So just to put some numbers to that, we've got a 5 megawatt grid connection here, and we've got 6 megawatt hours of energy battery storage on top. So we can, in theory, distribute 24,000 miles of energy at any given time onto all the vehicles on the forecourt.
Wow.
Or, to put it another way, the solar farm down the road creates enough energy for 5,000 vehicles for a year. So all the sort of elements of storing energy, trading with that energy, and connecting to a powerful grid connection are all part of the overall ecosystem that makes the business case work.
Got a question from Joel Teague for you. This feels like Big Brother, where people, or I'm a Celebrity, where people vote for the one they want to lose. Somebody's asked, Joel Teague has asked, why are the charging bays outdoors?
Why are the charging bays outdoors? That came up the other day, and someone asked me the same question. Well, unlike a petrol station where you have to stand there and fill up with fuel, the beauty of this is that you just plug it in and it takes seconds, And then you can go to the comfort and the confines of a nice warm establishment, get yourself a Costa coffee or a sandwich and come upstairs and pedal some energy if you really want to. But I guess in theory we could put things inside, because obviously there's no tailpipe emissions, so there's no issue with air pollution indoors. But the solar canopy, which is, you know, the 200 kilowatt peak solar canopy right there, is doing a great job in generating some energy locally. And we don't need to put them inside. I guess it's more cost, I suppose, to do that. So the important thing is it's covered at least. And yes, it's cold this time of year, but as I said, you're not stood out for very long. So so long, I think being covered is important, because it rains a lot in this country, and so it's nice to have some degree of protection. So it might as well be state-of-the-art bifacial solar panels in the process, as well as covering you from the rain.
Quite right. Now, mate, we need a live update. What kilowatt hours have you got? And what has Dean got?
Kilowatt hours.
Dean's trying to work this out at the minute.
I'll explain. I can explain, callers. We have a problem in that mine's not picking up the grid output at all.
Oh,
some strange reason.
Excuses.
And now we've reset the clock and everything, so we whatever. We will continue. We will continue.
Okay. We'll check back in later.
His excuse is worse than mine. I can tell you that I'm currently generating 70 watts to the grid.
Yeah,
and I've so far put 6 watt hours back into the grid.
Brilliant.
So I am pedaling. There's evidence to show I'm pedaling.
All I can say is, National Grid, thank you. Thank goodness for that. If it wasn't for you, Sam, there could have been a national emergency.
Yeah, I am quite literally somewhere in the world keeping one LED light on.
Right, before we go to Graeme, just a gentle reminder, if any of you would like a chance of a shout out, then please raise your virtual hand and we'll take you off mute shortly in about 20 minutes or so. So is there anyone brave enough to have 60 seconds on the EV Café? So yeah, it's now time to say hello to the regular of the EV Café. Nice earrings you've got there, Graeme. And interviewed by our very own Sara Sloman. So over to you. We've got a Christmas carol for Graeme.
We do. Right, are you ready? Good King Graeme last looked out on the national grid. All the dirty diesels about, all got traded in. There we are.
It's beautifully done. Oh, and speaking of beautiful, yes, those baubles. Very nice, Graeme. I'm impressed. Now, Graeme, earlier you were referred to as the power behind Top Gear and, of course, the national grid. I have no idea how you're going to answer this, but please tell us, what has been your best bit from 2020?
Oh, the EV Café. Did I say that?
Yay!
The Top Gear thing was fun, but that was 2 people in front of the camera. This is about bringing hearts and minds, right? And that's why I think actually my top thing for this year is the EV Café. A big spot in the darkness of lockdown.
Oh, I love you, Graeme.
You are too kind.
Oh, that's lovely.
You can send me the check later.
Yeah.
The brown envelope.
We'll upgrade your value jumper.
Yeah, your mug's in the post.
He was wearing a Tesco's jumper earlier, I don't know. But the EV Café has always been exactly that. And Jonny's the brainchild behind it, as you know. And together we've come from 30 people on our first episode to over 200 by like the stickful 7th episode. So we've managed to sustain that. And that is because there's so much room for openness and honesty. We're not here to slate anybody. I don't want to end up on the naughty list. It's just about finding proactive ways forward. So we'd love to hear from you. What's your expectation? What do you think is going to happen for 2021? What can we expect?
Oh, the big one, £950 million is the big number for 2021. So in the, if you'd have looked about 2 weeks ago, the comprehensive spending review took the original 500 million to fix motorway services and made that 950 million for motorway services. So what are we going to see in 2021? OLEV, well, they're not called OLEV as of yesterday. They're now OZEV. I don't know, sounds like a name of an exotic.
Yeah, OZEV.
Anyway, OZEV are busy working with government to create a delivery body to spend the £950 million to ask the distribution and transmission businesses to rock up with some big grid connections along the strategic road network. So that's the big stuff that's going to start moving in 2021.
Oh my goodness, you just made my day. I couldn't hide my face when you said that, because earlier when we were talking about the potential for wireless charging on the motorway, all I ever think from my local authority days is, oh my goodness, have you any idea how much it costs to even just maintain the roads that we've got and the potholes that we've got? And the smart motorway is a really good example of the effort that's been put in, but actually has taken much, much longer. And that's not through lack of effort. So that is just the best news possible. I just love the idea that it's not going to take me 6 hours to get to GRIDSERVE like it did last week, because there just wasn't the infrastructure available and there wasn't the overhead covered charging opportunities. And almost more importantly, there also wasn't the public transport available to get me there in any other way. So it was a very tricky situation. So I love the idea that future motorways are going to be as beautiful as GRIDSERVE already is. Who knows? Who can we tell? So that's what you're expecting, but what would you want? What would make you so happy? What would you love to see in 2021?
Moving faster on decarbonisation. So I know obviously this is the EV Café and this is all about mobility, but actually some of the big ticket stuff is decarbonising heat. These are doing my nut. Decarbonising heat as well. So today, you'll have seen the Committee on Climate Change have published their 6th carbon budget. That's the period 2033 to 2037. If you read it, it's effectively an instruction manual to get to net zero. So what I would ask everyone to do is read it, right? And don't necessarily just read the executive summary, but there are sector individual elements. So what do we have to do for heat? What do we have to do for shipping? What do we have to do for the energy we make? So the thing from my basis is, what do I really, really want to happen? Move faster, but take everyone along for the ride.
Yes, get more stuff done more quickly, exactly. And
Definitely.
I think that if you've noticed, there'll be sympathy from Jonny, because he did shed his beard baubles pretty rapidly, followed by his glasses baubles swiftly after. Yes, do feel free to be comfortable. Pull up a chair.
Hadn't noticed that.
John's having his lunch. My tummy's rumbling. I'm hoping that our audience have enjoyed their food well enough. We've got a few questions. Let me click on the box and see what's in there. Oh, well, we were talking about everybody knows, and all the people who are bored by this all the time. For me, it really isn't about replacing every car on the road with an electric vehicle. Sorry for those with sales targets. For me, it's a lot more about designing amazing infrastructure to get us to net zero, which empowers people to make choices. So I'm not anti-car, not anti-van, not pro-bus, not anything. It's just about making sure that everyone has a choice. So how do you think we can work with National Grid, DNOs, DSOs to make sure that when we're building our housing estates, how can we ensure that people who are moving into those housing estates have the opportunity for ground source heat pumps, solar, car charging if they want it, bus stops nearby? And that's the panacea of living, is a cheap, affordable eco home. So tell me your view on that.
Oh, well, I can give you well, this is why the CCC view of the document they published this morning is so good. It actually explains the policy objectives that need to change. We need planning policy. We need councils' housing policy. You know, we need legislation to kind of push them in the right direction. But also, don't forget, we forget that there is buyer power here. If you rock up to your local Barratt Homes and you say, I'd like to buy this one, plot number 7, please. Where's the EV charger? Ask the question. If they don't hear it from the customers, they won't think it's important, they won't do it. So we could actually beat legislation if we ask the tough questions. So that's what needs to change. Ask the tough questions, but legislation, and that's why I said it's worth everybody having a quick look through that CCC report, because effectively it impacts everyone. Everyone in the UK will be touched by the recommendations in that report. So it's worthwhile doing. And those who want to geek out on the detail, the appendices are massive. So if you really want to get under the hood, you know, pick the scab on the problem, it's all in there. So it's well worth a read. But yeah, things need to move at pace. Legislation is the big stick, but actually consumer power is the big carrot.
consumer-led decision-making. It's the new pester power, it really is. And actually, instead of getting the Radio Times this year, why don't we just all get a copy of that and thumb our way through over the festive period? Let's put a link in the chat so that everyone can have a copy. We used to talk a lot about the importance of three-phase supply in building homes, that every single home would then have the opportunity for the solar array and everything that you could possibly want. But recently, there's been a lot about diversity and inclusion and the worry that actually is going to be heat poverty as we move towards a more electrified heat system. And this is relevant because if you're then going to go home and plug in your electric car, doing the right thing and trying to support your community by that, then what can we do as leaders of the thought world to make sure that homes, these people, this consumer-led decision making is going to go the right direction and not make everyone just default to a car and we end up with huge congestion and homes that can't support the recharge effort?
So there's a couple of things in that. So firstly, let's just think about the transport lens. When we get into the early new year, we'll see the decarbonisation of transport plan from the DFT. And that is everything. That is travel less, yeah, active travel. So the first premise is do less of something, do less of everything, do less heating, do less travel. But it will then work its way up the hierarchy. So that's the sort of legislative advisory piece.
But even do less cycling.
Maybe do less
you
cycling.
can do
That's probably a good one. But do you know what? I'm breaking a sweat here just watching you. I mean, crikey, hang on. But I think it's also the importance here is, and it's an important point you make, Sara, is the transition to net zero mustn't leave anyone behind, right?
I'm a first aider, it's okay.
So, one of the things that is particularly important is at the moment, moving to an EV is seen as something only wealthy people can do, the privileged few. And okay, I get that. But if you think about vehicles on the road, the bus that runs past your home, you're disbenefiting from the pollution that comes out of the tailpipe. But you don't have to be wealthy or even old enough to have a driving license to benefit from the bus. So, by promoting the social transport piece, and heating will be really important. We are, in essence, at the risk of having a two-tier society. Those who have off-street parking can access a low cheap charging rate, those who can't. Those who can have a heat pump, those who can't. So this is not without those problems, but in the same way, we've had the same challenges around social mobility, employment. It is just part of that rich landscape. And finally, National Grid, whether those know it or not, we put an awful lot of money into a heat charity that actually goes on behind the scenes to actually help those who are struggling between heating and eating. We don't say much about it, but we actually channel an awful lot of money into that. And it's my immediate boss who's actually one of the trustees of that body. So we actually see where the money's spent. So, there is positive stuff going on. It's never enough. There's obviously more we can do. But I think even COVID has realised that it's much more about localism now.
Yeah,
you're solutions for individual areas, right?
I agree. And actually, micromobility has, I know these guys are on the bikes and they're sweating their assets there, but but it's not to be mistaken, because we must know that micromobility has a huge part to play. And we were seeing a lot of e-scooter trials, and we're seeing a lot of hire schemes popping up out of nowhere. So I think that's going to have a real part to play in taking vehicles off the road, freeing up vital road space for public transport and fleet vehicles to move around more easily. And that's really super exciting. And again, consumer-led. It will not be long before private e-scooters are going to be allowed. And I think it's going to have to come from segregated lanes, because conversely, they're also quite, well, I'm not going to say they're dangerous because I don't know, but they look pretty risky to be. You definitely need some bubble wrap if you're going to take one of those on. And you're firmly on the nice list, Graeme, definitely. John's got his hand up.
It's very much looking like Sam's going to need an e-scooter soon, or an ambulance.
I'll tell you what's cracking me up is the comments. They're brilliant. So first of all, whoever said a super fit human could do 1 kilowatt hour a day, which is 1,000 watts a day. I've currently done 21, so thanks for that. Yes, I am going pink, because that's what happens when you exercise. And yes, I will need oxygen soon, I suspect. Now, by all means, carry on.
This is our community. There they are, being lovely and kind. And Johnny's back, which probably means we're ready for our next section.
Yeah.
There's a number of people, just to say, that have put their hand up. So I'm guessing they're Johnny, up for the there's another one.
Yeah, let's just see who from the audience would like to come off mute.
Be nice, everyone. Be nice.
Put your hands in the air.
Well, you're right, Paul. We do have a few of you that are raising your virtual hands.
I'm scared.
We have got five exactly. So a minute apiece, if you don't mind, each one of you. So
I've got a timer thing.
Brilliant. Okay, so first we'll start with Neil Derno. He's a regular of the EV Café, actually. So, hello, Neil. You've got a minute. Are you there?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Neil.
Am I coming through? I'd like to
Oh,
say a great amount of gratitude, and that's to everyone here. But generally, I think we all need to exercise as much gratitude as we can. I'd also like to, on behalf of Hitachi ABB Power Grids, wish everybody a really safe and a really optimistic festive season. If you could see my camera, I'm holding hand gel and I'm shaking it, everybody. We are nearly there, people. Stay safe, stay sensible. And then I'd like to say the well-being focus you guys have is awesome. We all need a lot more of that. The education process that we are bringing to the market is awesome. The ambition, the challenge, the education, the sense of urgency, the passion, the education, all brilliant. Did I say education 3 times? Education. Okay. And I'd just like to say again, I'm so grateful for so much. You guys are awesome. Done.
Very much appreciated. Next up, we have Joel Teague. Hello, Joel.
Hello, how you doing, guys?
Yay!
Oh, Sam, you're matching your shirt, mate. You're doing well. I'm really admiring you. Right, 5 seconds waited. First of all, EV Café is the best example of one of the really good things about this year. The community from so many different angles and industries, even some not known for the nice people. The cream floats to the top here, doesn't it? The lovely people being collaborative and positive about everything has been wonderful. From my personal point of view, that's helped CoCharger go from, well, we weren't even incorporated at the beginning of the year, to last weekend's Sunday Times. We're in Autocar. We're connected up with lots of big, it's been so positive and it's been wonderful. And for next year, my big hope, and actually Graeme nailed this earlier, can we please be Christmassy about it and think about the less fortunate, which is the people who can't charge at home. Let's go and help them. Yes, community charging is going to be the what's that next year. We want to be part of that with CoCharger, but thanks everybody for being brilliant this year. Absolutely.
Well done, Joel.
I say something?
Yes.
Just very quickly, since I've been here, cycling like an idiot, I've had this view. And so far, I've seen Peugeot E208, an ID3, a Tesla Model 3, a Renault Zoe, 2 Renault Zoes, 3 BMW i3s. That sounds like a Christmas carol. And I think I can see a leaf and a Kona over there. And they've all arrived and charged since I've been doing this. It just goes to show that EVs are coming.
Brilliant. I thought you were going to say, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, if I thought about what I was going to say before I said it.
So next up, we have Emily. Emily, welcome to the EV Café.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hey.
Hello.
Firstly, Merry Christmas from everyone at Fuse and Morales. Sarah, I believe you've been speaking with my colleague Dan, so you might already know what Fuse is all about, but I'm just here to tell you all that we are actually looking for participants to trial our new charge point management system in Q1 of 2021. We are offering free use of the platform, free energy, free setup, training and commissioning, and some free marketing support. All you need is a site with EV chargers or plans to install them before the end of February. I can email some more information or set up a call to chat further, or alternatively, just email me at emily@fuse.io and I will tell you more.
Oh, Emily, feel free to email that offer to hello@evcafe.org.
Okay.
If you're interested in learning more.
Perfect, will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily.
Guys, just take
So we've
it
got
from
two
me,
more.
that's
We squeezed 2 more in. So Heather Kennedy, hello to the EV Café.
Hey, hi from Scotland. Right. But on behalf of Scottish EV Drivers Club and EVA Scotland, we're holding an online quiz night, and all money raised going to Back On Side charity, which is a mental health charity. so a good cause. It's going to be on Saturday, the 19th of December, 8 p.m. I will put links in the chat so everybody can join. We have special guest quiz masters, including Bob from Swarco evokes, Neil from EVA Scotland, Charlie from Octopus EV, Eleanor Chalmers, you've maybe heard of her on Twitter, and she's also director of EVA Scotland, and Ewan McTurk, our battery expert. We also have a special secret guest, which is a secret, and we have a representative of My Energy as well that's going to be doing the quiz as well. We also have Lynn Short, who is our host for the evening from Dundee City.
Well done, Heather.
Thank you,
Thanks, Heather.
That's amazing.
Thanks,
Put the
Heather.
link in the chat. Put the link in the chat. That's great.
You're doing a great job, Paul, on the clock, by the way. Nice work.
We've got, I know, just overpower everybody. So but don't forget Ed, Johnny.
Yeah, okay. Paul, John, sorry, have you got...
Yeah, sorry, I just owe Heather an apology. I'd said I was going to give Back Onside and the EV quiz a shout out. I had it all prepared here, but sadly time was running out on the mailbox. Back Onside is a mental health charity, and with 1 in 4 of us experiencing poor mental health, please do everything you can. The details are in the chat box there. Join the EV quiz. It really is going to make a difference.
Good on you, John.
So
I'm signing up
last,
right now.
we have Ed. Welcome to the EV Café, Ed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Great, thank you so much for having me. A thoroughly enjoyable experience. I'll just quickly introduce myself. So I run what's called an insurtech. So we're like an insurance company, but we are powered by cutting edge technology. And I want to give myself a bit of a shameless plug here. So we're called Flock. And yesterday, we actually launched a new division of our company for connected and electric vehicles. And we're providing very flexible insurance products to electric vehicle fleets. We're already working with a bunch of fleets. Some of them you will know very well indeed. Elmo is one of them, a really exceptional outfit. We're now insuring them, and we're working with others you might know, names like Voltric. I could go on. Big believers in the EV revolution. We've built an insurance product specifically to make life much easier for electric fleets, and we're working with some of the telematics providers who are actually on this call. So get in touch. We're going to post the link if you want to learn more about the product.
Super.
That was brilliant.
Well, so we do know Voltric, of course, because Alice's son works there. Now, I can't remember his name. Alice's son is Julian. That's him. Alice's son.
Brilliant. So we're on time. So that's it from the audience. Now it's time of the show that we've all been waiting for. It's saving the best to last. It's time to hear from Sarah, who's going to tell us who's on the naughty and who's on the nice list.
Wow.
She's also going to share the latest developments for the EV Café with us, and I guess what's in store for 2021. So really over to you, Sarah.
Sarah, can I just ask that you put Natasha Patel, whose birthday it is today, from Baringa Partners. And we must say happy birthday. What time is it? So I can tell her what time to look at. 13:38. Natasha, there you go. Big shout out. Can you put her on the nice list, please?
And a 1, and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Oh, what's happening?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Natasha. Happy birthday to you.
Well, don't say we don't give you anything, Natasha. I think that was more heartfelt than it was good. So happy birthday. And
the thought that counts.
It's wonderful that we can do that for our audience. Thank you. Goodness gracious. Do you know what we didn't do as well? Is sing our Christmas carol to Dean Hedger.
Oh, we didn't. Hang on, what was it?
Remember that one? Should we do it together or not?
Dean looks like he's about to beat someone up.
What is this about now?
It's just your intro. We missed your intro, so it goes like this. Ready? A in a manger,
yellow van for a bed, You'll
need to know Dean Hedger when your EV's dead.
Wow. We need to stop singing. It's not good, honestly.
Well,
and my cat has just run off.
One of the hardest names to make anything rhyme to, isn't it? There we go. Brilliant, guys.
Dear.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, and thanks for everything. Well, the naughty and nice list is something that I've been keeping my beady eye on all year. Those of you who have been good and those of you who have not. And the ones who I think have absolutely not been good is our advertising standards agencies. They have stressed me out. They have made me believe.
I know where this is going.
I have been on many an argumentative panel about it, because the fact is, as Graeme was saying, we're in an age of consumer-led decision making, and we have a responsibility to make sure that we're not leading people like sheep the wrong way up the garden path. So those people, exactly. So those people who say that where petrol is involved in an electric vehicle is the same as an electric vehicle or is better than an electric vehicle, I really struggle with that. So you guys are on the naughty list. I need to get that close. That's even more scary then. There you go. But let's think more positively. Let's think about the nice list. So the nice list is all those fantastic organisations out there who have become part of our community and involved in huge events like World EV Day, EV Summit, places where we had people tirelessly working hard to make events like that happen. And really, events are what we've missed this year. So even though COVID is firmly on the naughty list, obviously, and lots of people have really struggled with COVID in 2021, I had to cross it out because there have been benefits, community benefits, heartfelt benefits, people wanting to work with charitable organisations to protect one another's mental health and to support each other's progress through an otherwise quite difficult to navigate employment opportunity scenario. So people from everywhere have been giving each other a hand up, a leg up, and just that had to be one of the things that had to go on the nice list. So I did switch that one around. Now, it's really heartening to have so many people say that the EV Café gets to go on the nice list, while seeing as we all do it on top of our day jobs. That's a really fabulous thing. So thank you everyone in our EV community, everyone on the EV Café community is on the nice list. But it's not just me who's constructed this list. Let's go to John, Paul, Sam and Jonny and Dean and anybody else who would like to chip in and say who you think should be on the naughty or nice list. John.
I agree with Graeme, who's just said in the chat box that Charlotte of the EV Thank You system should absolutely, without question, be thanked from the heart of the bottom, because she is tremendous. Out every weekend, giving cards to people, thanking them for driving EVs. Stunning work.
But don't forget thanking her dad, Stephen. The dad myself of a daughter. He works so damn hard for Charlotte to realise what she's trying to do there. And some people have said he's a pushy dad. He is the least pushy man I know. This is all driven by Charlotte, and it's really good work. She's effectively our Greta Thunberg, right? Isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think she needs more profile. I think we should share her message more widely. She is absolutely, with her dad, on the good list.
Graeme, we need to get her on the show.
Yes, but it's during school hours.
Yeah, but
education.
There's holidays and stuff. We need to organise that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do a special.
She's due to come here, hopefully in the next month or two. So we can get her a spot then, hopefully.
Hang on, Sam. Isn't everybody going to the GRIDSERVE?
Yes.
Speaking of people on my good list, Graeme, I think I'd pop you on that one.
I got an invite, I just couldn't make it.
Yeah, thanks a bunch.
Paul, can we hear your naughty and nice list, please? What have you got for us, Paul Kirby?
Gosh. Well, gosh, the naughty list. I mean, the phrase self-charging hybrid is, of course, you know, and anybody that uses it to promote their products. For me, you know, I just did the maths for a hybrid. To help somebody judge between electric and the hybrid, and actually the vehicle that they were considering was about £400 a month cheaper if they went electric.
Yeah.
And it's a no-brainer. So, you know, I just think, so that's the naughty list. The nice list, do you know what? I kind of have to be with you, Sarah. This has been one of the most encouraging journeys. And the nice list are all the people that email us. And I know all of us get emails from different people just to say, you know, thank you, a bit of an encouragement, because not every day is joyous, is it? And it's those people that reach out. And I tell you, there you go. I knew I'd find a name in the end. I've got to say Mark Griffin from the ITT Hub, not because of what he does with the ITT Hub, but as a response on the mental health thing that I posted something once that, you know, I'd had a tough week, and he was immediately in my message box saying, you know, is everything okay? Do you want to chat? That to me is so important, so that the community has been a real blowaway thing for me. And, you know, every now and again, different ones stand out, but many people have emailed me and encouraged me, you know, on the videos and on this and other bits and pieces, the mutual encouragement that we give one another. But I will shout out Mark Griffin, definitely on the nice list.
That is fantastic. And
Right,
Sam,
so-
do you have any breath left?
Not much. Naughty list. I'll probably just stick Nick Ferrari and Jeremy Clarkson just for fun. Other than that, good list. I think I'll just echo you guys in terms of the EV Café. You know, you guys are good friends. You were good friends. Now you're best mates. We've had an amazing time this year. Hopefully it continues. Thank you so much, because we've done
We
something
love
a
you
bit.
guys.
We've done something a bit silly, but we've made it serious. And the likes of Graeme and all of the other guys that have been regulars, and Dean, who's currently pedaling away next to me. You know, it's just a great community, and I'm really, really proud to be part of it. And let's just keep spreading the message far and wide, far and wide, away from our little niches of everyone patting on each other on the back saying, aren't we great, aren't we good, because we are. But it's everybody else we've now got to reach. And if this is a mechanism by which to do it, then long may it continue.
Yeah, I'm sorry we're going to have to lose you to some kind of coronary, Sam. It's been a really bad idea putting you both on those bikes.
I got this. I've got this.
We can do it. We can do it. So, Jonny, let me say, anything from you on the naughty and nice list?
I'm going to keep it short and simple, because short and sweet, because we do have a lot of questions to answer that's still in the Q&A tab. But I'm just going to say I echo everything that Sam Clarke has said about the EV Café. So, John, I'm mindful of time. We've got maybe 10 minutes, and it looks like we've got 10 open questions. Should we do a last round of Q&A?
Yes, right, yeah, you'll be fine, mate, because the first question is directed at you from Kate Tyrrell. Now,
I'm sure it's not just 5 minutes, just 5, isn't it?
Dean, you can just do 5 because you had 5 minutes head start on him. Kate Tyrrell's asked,
yes, no answer.
Sam, why are we staring at your crutch? I don't know why we're staring at Dean's crutch. I've not been
I
staring
don't
at his
know
crutch.
either. That was a good question.
Kate, you are banned from the EV Café. Let me just say, I have inside information that Kate is not even wearing a Christmas jumper. There we go, right there. That's how we do it here. Nigel Casey asks, will there be EV Café merchandise? You bet your life. So we've already got mugs in the offing, and providing that we can find likely market for our trash and tat, we are doing some merch, but that's to come. What else have we got? Lots of stuff from around the world. Question for everyone. At the moment, the EVs look cheap to run. However, ICE was bringing cash to the government due to various taxes. Do we anticipate some major increase in road taxes? Edmund King, back in the house.
There he is.
Oh, Paul and Graeme want to answer.
Edmund will have a much better answer than me, but I would just say that the fines that we as a country could get for the too much diesel, right? You know, too much petrol and all the emissions and stuff. Just as a layman, that's what I thought, that we were in, you know, in the targets. And I know that this year, certainly manufacturers have been trying to cut down their diesel and petrol registrations towards the end of the year so that they can hit their CO2 targets. So there's definitely a lot of good reason to be going EV, because it saves the country money in a way. So, but Edmund and Graeme will have better answers than me.
I mean, just a quick one on the taxation. Of course, the government takes about 30 billion odd pounds from drivers, and if you don't get the money in fuel duty, they will look to some other way. There's been talk about a kind of road pricing scheme, but basic road pricing schemes have been on the stock since 1964 in the Smead Committee. They're not very popular. It's a kind of poll tax on wheels. I would recommend an economic theory called road miles, which I actually did with my economist wife, Deirdre, and it was runner-up in the Woolston Economics Prize a couple of years ago. And that's a much fairer system. Everyone gets 3,000 miles free. If you live in a rural area, you get 4,000 miles free. And then after that, there's a small charge. There'd be incentives for EVs, etc. So that's a much fairer area and much better to sell to the public than road pricing, because with a name like road pricing, no one's going to buy that.
How do you manage the mileage? Edmund, how do we manage mileage?
Yeah, you can manage mileage in two ways. A simple dongle you can put in the car that manages mileage. For the older cars, it would be done at the MOT. So at the MOT check, there would be a mileage calculation.
Perfect, that makes perfect sense.
Graeme, you got anything you want to add?
I was just going to give people an idea of what it costs. So you're right, Edmund, 36.7 billion pre-COVID was the tax take on fuel duty. If you divide that by pre-COVID road miles, that's somewhere between 11 and 12p a mile. So if you think about it right now, you can charge an EV and run an EV for 2 or 3p a mile, 11p a mile for paying for the roads. It's still about the same price as running a very cheap, efficient combustion engine vehicle. So yes, there is an early adopter incentive, but the reality here is it has to be paid for somehow. But just to give an idea of magnitude, it works out to be about somewhere between 11 and 12p a mile, roughly.
Brilliant. Thank you, Graeme. Question from Dr. Colin Heron, no less. Instead of running power to existing locations at mega cost, why not put the chargers where the power is? Or is that too obvious? It's absolutely what's happening, I think, isn't it, chaps?
I'll happily pile in there. So
go on, Graeme.
There were two things happening. So from an energy industry perspective, there is actually a price signal to locate demand and generation, right? To try and make it near to the grid. The challenge here is the customer is not the grid. The customer is the traveling public. So this should be driven by consumers, not driven by networks. So consumers are of vehicles where consumers are, where the roads are. So there is an element that Colin Heron is absolutely right, because he always is, but he's not always right for all of the factors. We're seeing from a grid perspective, big fleets, big bus companies, big charging hubs asking National Grid, where are all our substations? And also asking the DNOs, where are their substations? So there is a role to play of putting charging close to the substations, right? But what the guys in highways will tell you is adding additional mileage to find somewhere to recharge just adds risk, because every road mile travel, an additional road mile travel is an additional risk. So, on the numbers game, this is about trying to actually make sure we focus on the consumer. There isn't one size fits all. Where we can, bring the chargers to the grid. Where you can't, bring the grid to the chargers. And there you go. That's my official statement.
Well, thank you so much, Graeme. We love your official statement. Boom, indeed. Now then, wireless charging at bus stops. You mentioned that, Graeme. Does it mean that the bus will actually have to wait at the bus stop for longer? John Lyons wants to know.
Oh, I wouldn't profess to know a lot about induction charging other than it's an interesting idea. The pilots we've seen mean they do need to stay there. But they have had some interesting experience where the bus driver, even though it was nicely marked, drove across it and broke it. So I think there's still some learning. Is induction charging going to be critical, or will it be battery swaps, or will it be pantographs, at certain bus stops? All of the options are on the table. I think we'll see those being piloted more in the coming couple of years.
Oh, I do love a nice pantograph. Yes.
Or catenary.
Now then, Matt Wells has just commented, Edmund King said dongle. Edmund, do it again.
Dongle.
Oh, yes. I just love that.
That'll be in the outtake.
So many sound bites today.
Oh yeah. Sam, Kate Tyrrell, who's been banned for not wearing a Christmas jumper, asks, any idea how many vehicles have currently charged at GRIDSERVE since opening?
Oh, since opening? Well, we had one guy turn up on Wednesday night before we were even open, and we let him charge anyway. Thursday we had over 50 or 60 vehicles, and we've had roughly the same every day since. So if I was to hazard a rough guess, I think 400 or 500 charging sessions since we started technically on Monday.
Wow.
Not bad, is it? Not
And
bad.
presumably there's never a situation where you don't have somebody on site. So users will always be able to get a charge. Users will always be able to pay. Is that right?
Everyone can pay every time, anytime they like, so long as they've got a debit or a credit card, period, on anything. So you don't have to be a member to anything to charge here. You just turn up and you pay for your electricity for your car, just like you pay for the cost of coffee downstairs while you're waiting. So yes, it's convenient as that.
Is there a cost of coffee on your site, mate?
There is actually, yeah. It's very nice. I think I'll be getting an iced latte in a minute.
Oh, an iced latte. I saw what you did there.
It's not going to be hot, that's for sure.
That's easy for you to say. Alex Bell is talking generally about retrofitting ICE cars. So we've got 33.5 million vehicles on the roads and retrofitting them to become EVs. Is that something that's practical? Prices range from sort of 10 grand to get it done. What do you reckon? Graeme, you're shaking your head. Don't think so?
So just statistically, the average life of a car in the UK is 13.7 years. So are you going to just wait for them to wear out and then get crushed and recycled? Or are you going to try and work hard and convert them all? I'm more of the opinion that the important classics, you know, the difficult to fix stuff, yes, convert them, that's really good. But I think actually you're probably better just making the leap to something that's bespoke and designed to be an EV from the outset. I think there's a room for everything, but I just see that if you look at the statistics, that 13.7 years means that's the life of a car. So if it ain't electric now, wait 13 years and you'll replace it with an electric one, I guess.
I think we saw a little bit of this in trucks going from Euro 5 to Euro 6 and catalytic converters and all that kind of stuff. You know, there is a lot of retrofitting or a little bit of retrofitting of these sorts of things, but it hasn't really ever taken off. And I think people just rather, let the one die out, find a different place to use it if it's clean air zoned or, people can't use it in particular areas, which, let's be honest, that's going to be a feature of the next few years. So people might be forced into thinking differently, but I think it will be just, as Graeme said, we'll buy something fit for purpose and let that vehicle go to somewhere where it can be used until it's, finished.
I was going to say, Paul, to second that, the vehicles are built with whole type approval, for a reason. There's always a risk around retrofitting that, you're turning it into the purpose for what it was not intended. So,
Right. I'm really sorry about this, but we need to start wrapping things up. I'm mindful of the time. So I don't know where it's gone. I'm sure we can carry on this discussion for another half an hour still, but it has been another great afternoon at the EV Café. So a big thank you to all the special guests, the panelists, the audience, everyone that's joined us today for this Christmas special. Nice earrings there, Graeme. But let's carry on this conversation via our social channels such as LinkedIn page. Don't forget to get your selfies or Elfies onto our page for a chance to win a mug. You've got till 6 o'clock tonight. You can catch up on YouTube, as I said, the LinkedIn page and stuff like that. We are going to launch a podcast in the next week or so. So 2 hours condensed into 20 minutes. So that might be easier for people to catch up on. A quick shout out to the next session, where we will go back to business and talk about real world operations with an EV in your fleet. We will have some major fleets on to talk about their journey and some data companies to share some of their information. This is on the 20th of January, so we'll put the link in the chat box so you can register your spot so you don't miss out. So just a last word from me, a big thank you for everybody joining today. Is there anyone else that wants to say any last words?
We didn't get to do our announcement.
Oh,
you want to go ahead and end it with the announcement, Sarah?
Come on. Okay,
Yeah.
ITT Hub 2021 in Farnborough International. This is about innovation, technology and transport, and it's a groundbreaking new event which is all about the government's 10-point plans. There's going to be some amazing exhibitions there. So there'll be a ride and drive outdoor exhibition and us on a 300 square foot area offering drop-ins, one-to-ones, live shows, and of course our Sustainable EV Café Awards. So that is hot off the press. Thank you to the ITT Hub. We will see you in June at the 30th until the 1st of July next year.
I want to hear a goodbye from Edmund King for sure.
I would like to say, ho, 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 happy Christmas, everybody, from all at the EV Café and EVK. Happy Christmas.
Yay.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
What a guy.
Happy Christmas,
Thanks,
everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, dear.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And thank you.
Well done, Dean and Sam.
Yay!
What was the final scores on the doors then, Sam and Dean?
I think we did about 60 watt hours each, which I think is probably enough for about half a mile.
Yeah.
But every little counts.
600 calories. About 600 calories. Are you on about 600 calories? Something like that.
You say so.
A couple of miles burned.
Goodbye, everyone. Happy Christmas.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. See ya.